Hello, welcome to the Courageous Self-Care podcast. I'm your host, Christina Marlette. On this show, we talk about self-care in a whole variety of different ways. There is external self-care, which is stuff you do to your body to be healthy and feel alive and vibrant and filled with vitality. Then there's internal self-care, which is stuff you do to the rest of you, your emotions, your spirit, your mind. And boy, when you find harmony between external and internal self-care, magic happens. Ultimately, you have more energy. People have been saying to me for the last few years since I've been focusing on practicing and teaching courageous self-care, wow, your energy is amazing. I love being around you. I feel so much better after talking to you. And that is what happens when we find that blend of focus on the internal and the external. You know, most people tend to focus on the external and then feel depleted and drained and kind of hard, ends up being really hard on themselves. External self-care is like exercise and what else? Hydration, sleep, nutrition, and those are all very good things. And if they're your only strategies to get more energy, you won't have what you are hoping for. Well, at least I didn't in my experience. It wasn't until I started focusing on or expanding my awareness of what self-care is to the internal that I really started to see shifts. And I feel the same way. Well, my clients feel the same way. So here's what I want to talk about today. As you noticed from the title of this episode, it is about gender equality and my thoughts on it while I was doing push-ups. It is a weird topic, but this is what I noticed a couple of weeks ago. I was in a class called Adrenaline at the sports complex across the street, and it's a HIIT training, high intensity interval training, and one of the stations was push-ups. So the instructor said you can either do full push-ups or modified push-ups. And so I was doing some modified push-ups. I'm going to give you all the definitions of push-ups in just a moment. I was doing modified push-ups and my mind light bulbs started going off and all these questions started coming through, and I wasn't really focused on the push-ups anymore. I was focused on my very interesting thoughts, which I shared with a friend and colleague afterwards and said, I'm thinking about doing a podcast episode on this. And she said, absolutely, you must, because this is a big deal. So here it is. Do you know the different kinds of push-ups? So there's what traditionally have been called men's push-ups, where you are balanced. Oh, this is going to be challenging to explain without a visual. You're balanced in a plank position with your hands under your shoulders and your feet stretched out behind you, and your weight is on your toes and your hands. Make sense? Yes, traditional push-ups, like if you think about military push-ups, that is what you imagine. So those have in the past been called men's push-ups, and still lots of people call them that. Okay, and then there's women's push-ups in quotations, and women's push-ups in quotations are, instead of being on your toes, you have your weight on your knees. You're still pushing down and up with your hands, and I'm doing the action, but you can't see me. But you get the idea. Instead of a plank position, you're at more of an angle and you're on your knees. So where is this going? I think it's interesting that while I was doing the push-ups in the modified position, that's what I want to say first too. So they're not so often in fitness circles called men's and women's push-ups anymore. They're called full and modified. So full push-ups are the men's push-ups. Modified are the women's push-ups. And I just see a whole pile of issues with these names for this particular exercise. So here's what you need to know before I get into what I was thinking. Men's center of gravity is in the shoulders, meaning when men do push-ups, the full push-ups from the plank position, it's just how it is for them. It is push-ups. It's straightforward, and that's what they do because it is easier than the other kind. So, well, for men, that didn't come out right. It is just what it is for men. They do the push-ups and their center of gravity is in the shoulders, which makes it a totally doable exercise. Now, women carry the center of gravity in the hips, which means when women do women's push-ups or modified push-ups, that is what it feels like to men doing men's push-ups. Does that make sense? I hope so. So women doing women's push-ups or modified push-ups, that is full effort. And it is a fantastic way to work your biceps and triceps and pectoral muscles and back muscles, core muscles. Push-ups are a great exercise. But here's the thing that I thought was very interesting. It was my mind chatter that was happening while I was doing these push-ups. So I was doing the modified push-ups and I thought to myself, is this good enough? Should I be doing men's push-ups? Should I be doing the full push-ups? Am I working hard enough? Am I going to get the benefit from this? All the while doing 30 seconds of push-ups. This is what I was thinking. I guarantee that no man doing push-ups is thinking when he's doing his full push-ups or men's push-ups, he's not thinking, should I be working harder? What does this say about me and my gender? Is this good enough? No, that is not happening. Now, of course, you can make push-ups harder. You can put your feet up on a chair or whatever, but for the most part, full push-ups are just full push-ups. But I think it's interesting that as a woman, I found a way to make myself feel less than while doing push-ups, which are hard. So I just thought it was super interesting to notice the mind chatter that was coming up. Should I be doing more? Is this good enough? And I think all of that comes from the names that we use for the push-ups. So calling them men's push-ups and women's push-ups creates gender inequality. Now I'm going to get on a crusade to change the names of push-ups. But I think this is also reflective of everyday life. When a woman is doing a job that has traditionally, or in a role that has traditionally been done by men, there is so much to measure up to. There's not much frame of reference for a woman going into a traditional man's role and showing up as a woman. So she has to change what she is doing, change how she is showing up, dramatically and drastically modify how she is behaving and dressing and expressing herself to fit into what is considered the standard. Get it? These little push-ups are a microcosm for the world. And then now you can tell that the names have been changed from men's push-ups to full push-ups and women's push-ups to modified. But it's still the same thing. Full is complete. It is as good as you can get. It's that's the standard. But modified tends to suggest that there is weakness. And so the woman has to modify the push-ups to make them easier, which is not the case at all because of our center of gravity. When a woman does modified push-ups, she is working as hard as a man doing full push-ups. So I just think this is really an interesting observation that I had, if I do say so myself, while I was doing these push-ups. And it totally ties into how women show up in the world. We think that we're not doing well enough, or we're not doing it correctly, or we're not meeting the standard because so many of the roles that we now partake in were initially in the realm of men. So I'm just going to add this in here. And then I'll get back to my new names for push-ups. There's kind of a movement now that female is the future is feminine, and I totally disagree with that. Because it would be so much better if we just acknowledged that each gender has its strengths, each gender has its challenges, and if we could just see them as equal, like one push-up is not better than the other. What you do is tune into your own body on that particular day and give your best effort. That's it. Same thing with the roles that we fill in society. Masculine is not better than feminine. Feminine is not better than masculine. It is when we find harmony between those two energies, between men and women, and also in those energies within one human being. We both have, all have a masculine and a feminine side. We have hormones that go along with that. It's very scientific. It's also energetic. If we could just learn to find harmony between those energies, between those roles, then we would show up as complete whole human beings with no empty spaces that we are seeking out in the world to fill with other human beings. When two whole people who have found harmony between masculine and feminine energies show up and come into any kind of relationship, whether it's business, friendship, romantic relationships, when two whole people show up and pursue some kind of relationship, so much more good can be created rather than trying to fill these empty holes and depend on each other and see ourselves as less than in some way. So that is not what I was planning to say, but that is what came up. Now, here is my proposal. I'm starting a one-person crusade to change the names of push-ups. And what will this do? I don't know, but just listen. So I think they could just be called what they are. They could be called plank push-ups, and they could be called knee push-ups. That's it. Plank push-ups and knee push-ups. So there is no question in your mind while you're doing push-ups, if you're anything like me, wondering, am I doing this well enough? Should I be working harder? Is this okay? It feels okay in my body. I don't know if I could do the plank push-ups today. So actually this is okay. That is my suggestion, and I invite you to adopt it if you are doing push-ups. So the new words, ready? Remember, plank push-ups and knee push-ups. Nothing to do with gender, nothing to do with more than or less than, just very straightforward. That's what they are. Knee push-ups and plank push-ups. And whatever your body is suggesting for you to do on a particular day, that's it. And then you don't have to have some sort of existential masculine and feminine power, energy crisis in your mind while you're doing push-ups. But maybe that's just me. Okay, that is what I wanted to tell you. I think it's important, and it, like I said, it's a microcosm for what happens out in the greater world. So how does that translate? Let's see. If we could go out into the world and pay less attention to who held certain positions before and who holds them now, and the power struggle that ensues because of the tradition around these different roles, especially in the workplace, but also just our gender roles in general. Gosh, wouldn't that be nice? Less gender and more individual human being showing up fully and, fully expressed. That would be nice. And so it all starts by changing the name of push-ups. That's what I'm telling you. Plank push-ups and knee push-ups. End of story. Okay, that's what I wanted to tell you today. I would also love to offer you a resource that I created recently called the Self-Care Action Guide. Sometimes self-care is just this vague idea and we kind of don't know what to do with it, and then we make up excuses and say, well, I'm too busy. I don't know what to do. I don't have the money to go to the spa, so I guess I can't do any self-care. That is just not the truth. So I invite you to access this self-care action guide because it gives you some very specific, quick, simple steps on how to start incorporating self-care into your regular daily life so that you don't have to wait for that vacation that is way off in the distance and you don't know if you'll make it because you're just so crazy tired and exhausted. No. What my vision is to incorporate self-care into the day so that your day flows, your energy flows, there aren't dramatic ups and downs, there are little hills and valleys, and that's okay. but your energy is overflowing and consistent and totally sustainable. So I invite you to access that resource. The link is in the show notes. And I also invite you, if this was interesting to you or gave you a new thought or you thought it was weird, whatever, give it a like, leave a comment, share it with a friend, especially a friend who does push-ups. You can spread the word and get the new terms out there. Let's make sure that push-ups and gender equality are separate things and we don't have to deal with all of that mind chatter. That is what I wanted to say. All right, so yes, thank you for listening. I look forward to connecting with you next time, and I appreciate you. From wherever in the world you are listening, you are making an energetic contribution to our world becoming a better place where people feel good and confident in prioritizing their own well-being so that they can give from that overflow rather than a place of emptiness and bitterness and resentment, which is what happens when you give when you have no energy left. You're filling up everyone else's cups and not your own. So let's be cup filler-uppers and practice courageous self-care. I invite you to do some push-ups today and use the new words. All right, thanks for listening. Talk to you again soon. Bye-bye for now.